As Donald Trump confidently sets a date for signing a U.S. Iran deal, is Tehran effectively saying not so fast, signaling that the timeline from Washington and the reality in Iran may not match at all? In these Pakistan-mediated talks, is it now Mojtaba, rather than Trump, who is really calling the shots behind the scenes, deciding how quickly or slowly any agreement will actually move? As Iran lists its own red lines and pushes nuclear issues off the table for now, is Trump finding himself increasingly confounded by a process that is not unfolding on his terms alone? With just days to go before the supposed signing, are Tehran and Washington still clearly not on the same page about what this deal covers, when it will be signed, or even how it will be sold? As U.S.-Iran talks reach a critical stage, dueling claims from both capitals are clouding the peace process, making it harder to tell how close they really are to a final agreement. On June 13th, Donald Trump declared that a U.S.-Iran agreement was formally scheduled for June 14th, presenting the deal timeline as if it were already locked in. In a post on Truth Social, Trump also claimed that the Iran deal would immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz to all traffic, framing it as a breakthrough for global oil routes. Trump said, and I quote, "Barack Hussein Obama's deal with Iran, the JCPOA, was an easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon, which Iran would have had 6 years ago, and would have used long before now. My agreement with Iran is the exact opposite, a wall to no nuclear weapon. In fact, they no longer want a nuclear weapon, nor will they have one, either through purchase, development, or any other form of procurement. The deal is scheduled to get signed tomorrow, and immediately after it is signed, the Hormuz Strait is open to all. Our relationship with Iran is a much different and better one than previous administrations have had. Unlike Obama's hundreds of billions of dollars in payments to them, including $1.7 billion in green, cold cash, no money will exchange hands. At the appropriate time, when all is calm, we will go in and get the nuclear dust, buried deep under the powerful sunken granite mountains. Thanks to our beautiful B-2 bombers and their brilliant pilots, and downblend and destroy it, whether in Iran or the United States. We look forward to working with Iran, and the entire Middle East, long into the future. Hopefully, this process will all work out quickly, easily, and smoothly. If it doesn't, we have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again." Unquote. Despite Trump's confident timeline, Iranian officials have rejected claims that a formal deal will be signed on Sunday, stressing that key steps still remain unresolved. According to regional reports, Iran's negotiator Abbas Araghchi will travel to Pakistan on June 14th for technical discussions, underscoring that talks are still at a working level phase. The visit is expected to focus on the fine details of the emerging U.S.-Iran framework, including how any commitments will be implemented and monitored on the ground. Meanwhile, Iran has made clear that the release of its blocked funds abroad remains central to any agreement, linking financial relief directly to its willingness to move forward. Iran's foreign ministry has also argued that its services in securing the Strait of Hormuz should be formally recognized and compensated, turning maritime security into a bargaining chip. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai has stated that nuclear issues will not be the focus at this stage, signaling that Tehran wants to keep the current talks limited to regional de-escalation. Tehran says the current track is centered on ending the active war and dialing down the conflict in Lebanon, rather than rewriting the broader nuclear file in one go. Iran has also repeated its long-standing demand that foreign military forces eventually leave the region, framing their presence as a root cause of instability that any serious deal must address. Pakistan has said that, if all sides agree, a signing ceremony could be held by video conference on June 14th, allowing leaders to endorse the framework without traveling. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had earlier suggested that a peace deal could emerge within 24 hours, casting Islamabad as the key mediator shepherding the process to its final stage. On June 13th, Sharif went further, claiming that both Washington and Tehran have already agreed on the wording of a draft understanding that could underpin the wider deal. The Pakistani premier added that an electronic signing ceremony could take place within the next 24 hours, with technical-level follow-up talks to iron out remaining details. Sharif said, and I quote, "We are closer to a peace deal than ever before. With finalization likely expected in the next 24 hours, Pakistan is preparing for the electronic signing of the peace deal immediately after, followed by technical-level talks next week." We would like to thank United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran for their ongoing commitment during the negotiations, and we extend our sincere appreciation to our brothers in the region for their support. We are confident that this historic peace deal will form a strong foundation for lasting peace." Unquote. Interestingly, just a day earlier, U.S. President had accused Iran of leaking a fake version of the deal, insisting that the terms in Iranian media bear no resemblance to what was actually discussed. On June 12, Donald Trump publicly rejected Iranian reports about a draft U.S.-Iran agreement, insisting that Tehran's description of the terms was completely misleading. His remarks came just as other reports suggested a memorandum of understanding was close, highlighting a sharp disconnect between quiet negotiations and the rhetoric playing out in public. Trump said, and I quote, "The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to, in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together, and fast." Unquote. Iranian media outlets have reported that the draft deal would formally leave control of the Strait of Hormuz in Tehran's hands, reinforcing Iran's leverage over one of the world's key oil choke points. According to these reports, Iran makes no commitment to restore pre-war conditions in the strait or share management, signaling that it plans to keep its new posture even if a deal is signed. Iran's Mehr News reported the existence of a 14-point draft memorandum of understanding between Iran and the United States that outlines a potential framework for de-escalation. As per the report, the proposed framework could unlock up to $24 billion in frozen Iranian assets held under international restrictions. Half of the funds could become available before final talks even begin, according to details cited in the report. The remaining funds would reportedly be released gradually over a 60-day negotiation period as part of the phased arrangement, Mehr said. Permanent and immediate cessation of hostilities on all fronts, including Lebanon, forming the core demand of the proposed framework. Non-interference in Iran's internal affairs and full respect for its national sovereignty as a binding political condition. Complete lifting of the naval blockade within 30 days, enabling the restoration of unrestricted maritime movement. A commitment from the United States to withdraw its forces from positions deployed around Iran as part of the de-escalation plan. Reopening of the Strait of Hormuz within 30 days under Iranian arrangements to restore critical energy and trade flows. Suspension of sanctions on the sale of oil, petrochemical products, and related derivatives to revive Iran's export economy. Reconstruction plans for Iran valued at a minimum of $300 billion as part of long-term post-crisis recovery support. Complete lifting of primary, secondary U.S. sanctions, along with related UN resolutions under coordinated rollback mechanism. Reaffirmation of Iran's commitment under the NPT not to pursue or develop nuclear weapons capabilities. No deployment of new forces in the region and no imposition of additional sanctions during the negotiation process. Release of $24 billion in blocked Iranian funds, with half of the amount required to be released before formal talks begin. Establishment of a monitoring mechanism to oversee implementation and ensure compliance with the agreement framework. The final agreement would be subject to approval through a United Nations Security Council resolution. Iran's missile program and support for regional resistance groups are excluded from the agenda under the proposed structure. Mehr said the United States would also be required to present a structured plan outlining Iran's economic reconstruction and recovery support. Final negotiations would reportedly focus on nuclear commitments, while excluding any direct discussions on Iran's missile program. The report stated the proposal still requires final approval from relevant authorities before any formal implementation.